My child's school experience was just awful for him. My child never had any friends in school. I mean, he kind of would gravitate towards whoever was the, bad kid in class, besides him, of course. And he would try to make friends with that kid, or he would try to emulate the, popular mean kid or something like that. But he never really had any sort of friends. So it was a very, very lonely experience for him. In first grade, actually, he had this really, really terrible experience where one of the kids in class actually said, "Hey, who doesn't like Kevin? Everybody raise your hand." And everybody in the class raised their hand. All of the kids in the class raised their hand. Side note, my child's real name is not Kevin. It's just a stage name, if you will. But he literally had no friends. He had no social structure that he, could plug into. He didn't really feel any sort of sense of camaraderie with anybody he ever went to school with. Years later, when he and I were talking about this is, after he's, become an adult and we're sort of reflecting on his childhood experience with, childhood psychopathy. And I asked him one day what that was like and why he was always gravitating towards the bad kid. And he gave me an answer that really surprised me. He goes, "Mom, don't you think I tried to connect with those other kids? I tried to do that, but I couldn't." He's like, "I just didn't care about Pokemon or Power Rangers or whatever, thing these kids were into. It wasn't anything that excited me, and I was always pretending, and it was just exhausting to have to always pretend to be into what the other kids were into and not feel any sort of connection like that." So in a word, my son's experience in school, socially speaking, was incredibly lonely. And he just struggled from the moment he walked onto school campus until probably the time he went to bed at night, because there was always some issue from school that spilled over, whether it was, that he was having a hard time with school, or he had been suspended that day because he had hurt a kid, or, whatever. School always spilled over until, nighttime and bedtime. So it probably, was just a really crappy experience from the time he woke up in the morning until the time he went to bed. And that didn't stop until he was 18 and graduated from high school.